I think this is my favorite track from the Calamity Mod, if I'm honest with you. Let's listen to it and break it down, because I actually have a lot to say. This is deeply, deeply heartfelt, actually, and somber as hell. So it's interesting when we start, because obviously there is an inherent feeling of sadness, of reflection. The Siren's Call, literally, that's the name of the section. And sirens, as we have come to understand them from the Iliad and in history, sirens lured sailors to their death by singing angelic, beautiful songs. And the sailors would then draw their ships towards the sound, thinking who knows what, and all of a sudden they are consumed and they're killed and stuff. And yet this siren song in particular is very somber and very, very emotional and very heartfelt. And so as we've come to understand it, as I've come to understand it, these are themes of bosses. So what we have to do is consider the psychology of this character. So I think underneath here, when we start, that is the feeling of energy, of stress, of going to battle, of fighting, of taking over. Then the song is like, oh, I see you. I need your help. I need you. Love me. Be mine. Whatever. Right? Yeah, and listen to the harp too. The harp being in there is very, very, very like romantic, very beautiful, very elegant. This is all about like high class, Baroque time period, very ethereal, very like celestial voice out in the distance, like, come to me, my love, I need you. It's all a ploy. Yeah. And so even though we have the forward momentum in the in that lower voice, it's actually a duet between singer and harp, which is actually beautiful. And you actually don't hear that a lot in this like 16-bit style per se, I would say, in this MIDI sound quality. It's very beautifully harmonized there. And there is this inevitable feeling of like the supreme embrace, like this desire to be held almost. Yeah, and also too, it almost feels like it's pulled away. It's in the distance. It's not. It's not in your face. It's very pulled back. It's like far away. Wow, that going up there like that's beautiful. That's a little louder. I love too how the harp goes. It's very, very, very much that connected duet between the harp and the siren, and there is this constant quality of sadness and loss, and it doesn't feel like a battle theme, does it? Now, if it wasn't for the fact that we had that propulsion, we wouldn't even think it was a battle theme. This feels like a ballad. It feels like a longing for a lost memory or something. It doesn't feel like not having anywhere to turn or something. You know what I mean? I'm also curious if this is just one giant loop for 6 minutes, which would be funny because we're going to be here for about 24. I think it's a loop. Yeah, it's most certainly a loop. I'm fast forwarding. Siren's war cry. So now we're going to have a different sort of atmosphere and emotion here. Boom. Do you feel like we had this really sharp pivot and then we launch into we're still singing, but now we're face to face with the siren, and the siren's like, well, I've got no choice. I obviously have to fight you because I need to be alive. And you as a player are saying, well, no, actually, I need to defeat you because of calamity reasons, blah, 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 blah. And so now all of a sudden we have conflict. So if the first half is like, hello, I'm here, like, can you help me? The second half is like, no, bitch, I'm not going to help you. Actually, you know, and then the siren's like, no, you won't. And so now we get thrust into battle, but it's never like bombastic like we've heard in other Calamity tracks. It's actually pretty reflective and pretty considerate of like the emotional depths that are like this battle, right? It feels like something that doesn't want to have, it doesn't want to occur. There's no battle that wants to happen here, but it has to, right? And also the way that we go, it almost feels like when we go up like that and register, there's a desire to not face a conflict, to not have the conflict. Also, the line there is super sustained, which is really interesting too, because underneath we have the speedy rhythm and the folks sometimes struggle with creating beautiful melody that also like is intentioned. And in this particular instance, what I like is that we have forward momentum with rhythm. The rhythm is always forward propulsing, even with even with the siren's sound there, the siren's song. But the difference is melodically, we still have a phrase. And so even though the tempo is fast, we're never losing sight of like the siren's like soul. Yeah, so this is like super beautiful. This section's fun because we get this sort of this sort of I guess I don't know what style of music that is actually, but there is a shift here where it's like, fine, you know, I'm doing this, I'm fighting you because I don't have a choice, and I need to protect myself and I need to defend myself, and it is what it is, and so we're gonna do this and we're gonna fight, and so this is like a lot more like, okay, slash, you know. Rhythm underneath that soundscape is cool. Also, I like in here at the bass, we actually have a da-da-da, we actually have a build up in there. That's cool. It's cool how the bass also supports the singing. And so all of this is so beautifully layered in that the bass is sort of moving the battle along underneath. If you listen right here. You hear how consistent that is. The siren is singing her heart out, and then underneath you have this, which is like the forward momentum of the battle. So even though it's a slower piece, the bass is actually helping us to speed up, to feel like agitated and to feel grounded in this battle of going back and forth. I think this is another big long loop. So the big shift there. So it's just an octave lower, but having it be in the octave lower, more dramatic, and it causes more feelings of distress and concern because of where it sits. It's a lot more desperate, right? Now, in the upper register, it's going to sound more like screaming, beautiful screaming, because of where it sits. So it's more like, ah! But at the lower register, it's like, fine, whatever. It's a little bit more morose and somber. And it's interesting how registration and different registers actually cause different feelings of emotion for us. And then let's shift into Forbidden Lullaby. Big shift with the timpani there, or with the drums. Big Leviathan. So I don't know how Anahita and the Leviathan are connected, but the fact that we have that retaining that same motif, which at this point the motif is probably, that's the siren motif, even though it's just sung over and over and over. Like at this point we can agree that that's like the motif that revolves around siren. Like that's the theme. It's interesting here because the Leviathan's much bigger, so we hear that. We hear that in the bigger beats, and also we hear that I think with the like electric guitar and the cymbals and things. Like there's an emphasis on heft. Now I don't know if like the Leviathan eats the siren or the siren becomes the Leviathan, but now this like feels like the truest iteration of this battle. Like now we're actually in a battle where there's less like remorse and less feeling, and more just like hunger, more vicious maybe. Yes, so that's gorgeous because there's a doubling, and it's almost like every single time we've only had one voice singing it, the voice of the siren. Because we have the strings, I guess, portraying it and using it, it is much more emphasized because we've heard it for so long that now we really get a sense of like, oh my God, this is the culmination. This is the moment. What are we going to do? How are we going to seize this day? And so you have this big thrust of that melody, which is beautiful. This is called Forbidden Lullaby, which I guess that's the Forbidden Lullaby. But listen again. That's one voice. And now let's big string section there. We have kind of like a slowing down in here too. Beautiful melody there that really feels like sadness and loss and despair, and like I don't think that Anahita wants to fight, and I don't know what the context is with the Leviathan, but Anahita doesn't want to fight, and so she's basically been put in a situation against her will, a situation that she doesn't want to be in. She wants to go away and live her life, you know. It's a desperation. It's a plea. Oh, I love that. Oh my God, cool. You know, I actually wonder if there isn't like some sort of ascension that's occurring, some sort of like rising to heaven or something, because this music is so like beautiful. The whole thing's been beautiful, but what I mean by that is that now that we're in the upper flute there's a heavenly quality that has been here from the start, but the difference is in here it feels, now obviously we have this like sort of dubstep type thing, whatever that technical term is, but because the flute's in here, it feels more like fighting a heavenly being, embracing life or something. It's very tender. The single flute, the flute being a woodwind instrument, it's very light and it's very airy. Gorgeous. Nice arpeggiations on the piano there with that awesome cymbal. And we recap into the main loop here. You wouldn't think that the Leviathan would have music that's so peaceful. Like I could see the Siren, but the Leviathan is huge and it looks vicious and it looks rough, and instead you have this like incredibly essentially tender music that is very somber, but also like has a bit of drive because of the way the rhythm is, and feels very motivated. It's perplexing. I love how simple it is and I love how like chill it is, because so often in boss themes we don't have that. This is a prime example of a boss theme that subverts expectations and isn't like in your face all the time. It's not like hello, it's very like ba yada ba ba yada da 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 da. Like that's so nice. Melodically, it's beautiful. It's not obtuse. It's not in your face. It's not excessively loud. Very different from the other Calamity tracks, or the Yorm the Jungle Dragon, of course, or the the Calamity, the whatever the bells, the other piece I listened to. I want to fast forward a little bit. All right, so it was a giant loop. With that, I mean, I think this is my favorite track from the Calamity mod, if I'm honest with you. It's just calm. It's nice. I feel a sense of remorse. I feel a sense of sadness. I can't exactly tell you why. I don't know the combination here, why Anahita and the Leviathan are connected, or does Anahita become the Leviathan? I can't remember. It's beautifully somber, and her melody is deeply thoughtful, and I like that a lot. If you like this sort of stuff, there's actually more Terraria Calamity Mod on the channel. There's also a ton of other videos if you like video game music in general, which I recommend you check out. I stream basically every day on Twitch and on YouTube. I do multi-streaming, so feel free to check that out. And as always, thanks a ton, and I will see you later.